So for the longest time, I was printing with meta ads across all my brands. But when tariff announcements hit Q1 of 2026 and I watched performance absolutely tank across the industry, and I'm not talking about just my accounts, I'm talking about brands everywhere getting crushed. And here's what separated the brands that survived from the ones that got absolutely destroyed. It was how they responded in the first 48 hours. In the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to show you the exact framework I use when macroeconomic events hit. Not theory, not some motivational BS about staying positive, but the actual tactical playbook that kept my brands profitable during the worst economic conditions I've seen since 2022. Because here's the truth, another macro event is coming in 2026. Maybe it's next month, maybe it's the next quarter, but it's coming. And when it does, you need to know exactly what to do. So grab a pen and paper because this literally could save your brand. Now, before we dive in, let me give you some context. In Q1 2025, the e-com industry got hit with what I can only describe as a performance apocalypse after tariffs on China were announced. I'm sitting here looking at my own accounts, my agency clients, brands I'm working with, and performance is just tanking. CPAs are going through the roof, ROAS is in the gutter, and I'm thinking something is seriously wrong here. The last time I felt something like this was in 2022 when the Ukraine war started and inflation hit. E-commerce just nosedived overnight. That was the last time I saw a macroeconomic event impact performance this badly. But here's the truth, I've been through this before multiple times, and the brands I work with that follow this framework, they not only survived, they came out stronger. While their competitors were panicking and turning off ads, we were positioning ourselves to absolutely dominate when things came back. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do today. Because listen, macro events are part of the game, they happen, and if you don't know how to handle them, you're going to get left behind. So let's start with the biggest mistake I see brands make when a macro event hits. They either do nothing or they do way too much. Let me explain what I mean. Mistake number one, they freeze. Performance starts tanking and they just sit there. They're like, let me give it another day. Maybe it'll come back. Or, oh, it's probably just a bad day. And then another day passes and another, and they're just bleeding money, hoping things will magically get better. I've seen brands burn through tens of thousands of dollars because they've refused to take action. They just kept their budgets the same, kept their ads running, and hoped for the best. This is not a strategy, this is financial suicide. Mistake number two, they overreact, turn everything off. The opposite extreme, performance drops and they panic. They turn off all their ads, they stop all their marketing, they basically go into hiding. And here's the problem with that, when performance comes back, and it will come back, you have nothing running or you're running at really low budgets. You have no good data, you have no momentum. And by the time you turn things back on or increase your budgets and start getting traction again, your competitors have already captured all that market share and are already at massive scale. So both of these approaches are wrong. Here's what you need to understand. Macroeconomic events are temporary. I'm not talking about a full-blown recession that lasts years. I'm talking about these 2 to 4 week periods where something happens in the economy or in the world and consumer behavior shifts and performance drops across the board. And during these periods, you need to be strategic. You need to stop the bleeding, but you also need to stay in the game. But here's the reality. The brands that figure out how to survive during bad times become absolute killers when times are good. Think about it like the gym. When you first start lifting, everything hurts. You're weak, you're not seeing results, and it sucks. But if you keep showing up, if you keep doing the work, even when it doesn't feel like anything is working, eventually you will break through and you become stronger than you ever thought possible. The same thing applies here. If you can figure out how to make it work during a macro downturn, when things are good, you're going to run circles around everyone else. So let me show you exactly how to do that. So when a macro event hits, I use a 4-pillar framework, and if you follow this, you're going to be in a way better position than 99% of the brands out there. Pillar number one, stop the bleeding. This is the most important one. You need to decrease your budgets immediately. I don't care if you've been spending 10K a day for the last 6 months. If your ROAS is tanking and you're losing money, you need to cut that budget down until you get to a palatable blended ROAS for your brand. And by palatable, I mean break even might be winning right now. Let me say that again. During a macro downturn, break even could be winning for you. Because if you're at least breaking even, you're not losing money. You're staying in the game. You're keeping your ads running, and you're ready to scale when things come back. Now, the worst case scenario is turning ads off completely, but that would be your absolute last resort. The goal here is to stop hemorrhaging money while maintaining some presence in the market. Pillar number two, optimize hard, but adjust your targets. This is where most people mess up. They either don't optimize at all because they're paralyzed, or they optimize using their normal targets and end up with 0 ads running. Here's what you need to do. Temporarily adjust your CPA and ROAS targets to reflect current market conditions. Let me give you an example. Let's say normally you target a $30 CPA and a 3 ROAS. Well, during a macro downturn, you might need to shift that to a $40 CPA and a 2 ROAS. A winning ad during a downturn is defined differently during normal times. If you don't adjust your targets, you're going to pause out all your ads. If you have 0 ads running, you have nothing to scale when conditions improve. You still need to be ruthless with your optimization, but you also need to be reasonable. Don't turn off everything. Keep your best performing ads running, even if they're below your normal standards. Pillar number 3, focus on the inputs, not the outputs. This is huge. During difficult times, you cannot control the outcomes, but you can control your actions. So here's what you need to do. You maintain your testing schedule. You keep testing X number of ads per week, whatever your normal cadence is. You maintain your email and SMS schedule. You keep sending on your regular days. You maintain your optimization schedule. You optimize on Mondays, Thursday nights, and Friday mornings, or whatever your routine is. And here's the key. Do not start doing random new things just because you're panicking. I see this all the time. Performance drops and people start freaking out. They start testing completely new strategies they never tried before. They start doing all this random stuff and their ad account ends up in a complete disarray. Don't do that. Keep doing what got you to where you are, but focus on the inputs, take the emotion out of it, and trust the process. Pillar number 4, don't panic. Stay disciplined. This is the hardest one because when you're watching your ROAS tank and your CPA skyrocket, it's really easy to freak out. Here's what you need to understand. This is where you separate yourself from your competition. Most people get defensive during downturns. They stop taking action, they stop doing the work, they curl up in a ball, they basically give up. But if you can stay disciplined, if you can keep showing up and doing the work, even when it doesn't feel like anything is working, you're going to build a muscle that no one has. And when times are good, you're going to be unstoppable. I'm telling you, the brands that figure out how to win during bad times become absolute killers when times are good. So don't panic, stay in the trenches, keep doing the work, and trust that this too shall pass. So now let me talk about a more advanced strategy that some brands use during downturns, and that's volume offsetting. The idea here is that you increase your content volume, more ads, more emails, more SMS to offset the poor performance and dig yourself out of the hole. Now this can work, but you need to be really careful with it. Here's why. If you're creating a ton of new content during a downturn, you might be burning through good creative that would have performed really well during normal times. Think about it. You create this amazing ad and you launch it during a macroeconomic downturn when no one's buying. It gets terrible performance, so you pause it. But if you had launched that same ad 2 weeks later when things were back to normal, it might have been a banger. So you're kind of wasting good content during bad times. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't test new stuff. You absolutely should, but you need to be strategic about it. If you're just trying to survive, focus on the first 3 pillars. Maintain your normal testing cadence. Don't go crazy with the volume. But if you're trying to break through, if you have the resources and the content pipeline, then you can increase the volume to try and offset the downturn. Just know that there is risk involved and you need to balance it carefully. For most brands during these 2 to 4 week macro downturns, I recommend just focusing on the core framework. Don't try to do too much. So now let's talk about the recovery, because this is where you can really separate yourself from your competition. Here's the reality. Most brands are not paying attention. When performance drops, they mentally check out. They're like, I don't want to look at my ad account anymore. I'll just wait until things get better. And that is a massive mistake, because when performance comes back, you need to be the first one to recognize it and scale. Let me say that again. You need to be the first one to recognize it and scale. Most people sit on their hands too long. They see one good day and they're like, just a fluke. Let me wait and see. Let me take a few more days. And by the time they finally decide to scale, the opportunity is gone. Their competitors have already scaled and captured that market share. So here's what you need to do. Stay in the trenches. Even during a downturn, you need to be monitoring your ad account every single day. You need to be watching for signs of recovery. And as soon as you see 2 to 3 days of solid improved performance, you need to scale immediately. Don't wait for crazy confirmation. You don't second guess yourself, you scale. And here's why this works. When buyer behavior comes back, when people start purchasing again, you want to be the first brand they see. Your competitors are still sitting on their hands, still waiting, still scared, and you're out there capturing all the new customers. This is how you get ahead. This is how you win. And by the way, most people don't have the balls to do this. They're too scared. They're like, what if it doesn't last? What if I scale and then performance drops off again? Well, then you scale down. It's not that complicated, but the opportunity cost of not scaling when you should is higher than the risk of scaling too early. So be aggressive, be the first one in and capture the market while your competitors are still frozen. Now let's talk about the long-term perspective, because this is super important. When you're in the middle of a macro downturn, it feels like it's never going to end. It feels like you're stuck in quicksand. Every day you wake up, you check your ad account and it's still bad and it's demoralizing. I get it, I've been there. Here's what you need to remember. Nothing lasts forever. ever. These macro downturns typically last 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, not months, not years, weeks. And then things come back, buyer behavior normalizes, and performance improves. So you need to keep this top of mind. This too shall pass. And here's the other thing, e-commerce has cycles. There are good times and bad times. During COVID in 2020, everyone was the best e-commerce person in the world. Why? Because people could only shop online. Everything was working. Everyone was making money. You got to reap the benefits of those good times, but you also have to weather the bad times. That's just part of the game. And if you can accept that, if you can understand that this is just part of the journey, it becomes a lot easier to stay disciplined and keep doing the work. Now here's the key. Survival is a choice. You have a choice in how you respond to these macro events. You can do nothing. That's a choice. That's the action of inaction. Or you can take action. You can decrease your budgets, optimize hard, focus on the inputs, stay disciplined, and position yourself to scale hard when things come back. That's also a choice. And the choice you make is going to determine whether you survive or not. So choose wisely. Now let's talk about how this applies to brands of different sizes, because the strategy is slightly different depending on where you're at. If you're a new or a small brand, let's say under $1 million a year, here's the good news. You're often shielded from macro events. Why? Because you still have a lot of low-hanging fruit. You still have your ideal customers who are going to buy from you no matter what. When you launch a new brand and you have product market fit, there are people out there who are your perfect customers and they're going to buy from you even when the economy is bad. So if you're a small brand, don't freak out about macro conditions and just focus on the fundamentals. Keep testing, keep optimizing, keep building. You're probably going to be fine. But if you're an established brand doing $1 million, $10 million plus a year, you're more susceptible to macro conditions. Why? Because you have a larger audience. You're reaching more people, and when the economy shifts, it impacts you more. So for established brands, you need to implement this framework immediately. You need to adjust your budgets, adjust your targets, and stay disciplined. But here's the opportunity. If you can figure out how to stay profitable during a downturn, you're going to be in an incredible position when things come back, because most of your competitors are going to be struggling. They're going to be behind, and you're going to be ready to scale and capture massive market share. So don't view this as a threat, view it as an opportunity. So let me paint you a picture of what most brands do versus what winning brands do during a macro downturn. Here's what most brands do. They panic, they complain on Twitter about how Meta sucks, they stop taking action, they reduce their effort, they wait for things to get better. And then when they finally notice things are improving, they slowly ramp back up. And by that time, the opportunity is gone. Here's what winning brands do. They recognize the macro conditions quickly, they adjust their budgets and targets immediately, they stay disciplined with their inputs, they sharpen their skills during the downturn, they monitor their account daily for recovery signals, and as soon as they see performance improving, they scale aggressively. The result, they capture all the market share while their competitors are still frozen. This is the competitive advantage. Everyone else is complaining, everyone else is sitting on their hands, and you're taking action, you're making moves, you're in the trenches, and when the buyers come back, you see it first. You scale first and you take all those customers first. This is how you win. By the way, this isn't just about meta ads, this is about business in general. The people who succeed are the ones who take action when everyone else is paralyzed, the ones who stay disciplined when everyone else is panicking, the ones who see opportunity where everyone else sees disaster. So be that person, be the one who takes action. So let me give you a quick 30, 60, 90-day playbook for handling macro events. Days 1 to 7, immediate response. Decrease your budgets to a palatable ROAS, adjust your CPA and ROAS targets temporarily, pause your worst performers, but keep your best ads running, and communicate with your team that this is temporary and to stay focused and to document your baseline metrics so you compare later. Days 8 to 30, survival mode. Maintain your testing schedule even if it's reduced volume. Keep your email and SMS cadence consistent. Optimize on your regular schedule. Monitor daily for signs of recovery. Do not start random new strategies and focus on inputs, not outputs. Days 31 to 60, preparation for recovery. Build your creative pipeline for when recovery hits. Identify which ads survive the downturn. These are your true winners. Plan your scaling strategy for when metrics improve. Ensure you have budget and credit availability for rapid scale, and stay in the trenches. Don't check out mentally. Days 61 to 90, recovery and scale. Recognize recovery early, which is 2 to 3 days of improved metrics. Scale your budgets aggressively on winning ads, launch new creative that you held back, and capture market share while your competitors are still frozen. And document the lessons learned for your next downturn. That's the playbook. Follow it and you're going to be in a way better position than most brands out there. So let's recap everything we just covered. When a macro event hits, you need to do 4 things. Number 1, stop the bleeding. Decrease your budgets immediately. Number 2, optimize hard, but adjust your targets so you don't turn off all your ads. Number 3, focus on the inputs. Maintain your testing schedule, your email and SMS schedule, your optimization routine. Don't panic and start doing random stuff. Number 4, stay disciplined. Don't check out mentally, stay in the trenches, and be ready to scale when performance performance comes back. If you follow this framework, you're not just going to survive macro downturns, you're going to use them as opportunities to separate yourself from the competition. Because here's the truth, macro events are part of the game, they're going to happen, and the brands that know how to handle them are the ones that win long term. So here's my challenge to you. Save this video, bookmark it, and the next time a macro event hits, come back and watch it again. Because when you're in the middle of a downturn, it's easy to forget this stuff, it's easy to panic, and having this framework to come back to is going to save you. And if you found this video valuable, do me a favor, subscribe and drop a comment below and let me know what's your biggest fear when it comes to macro events. What's the one thing you're going to implement from this video? I read every single comment and I want to hear from you. Last thing, if you're looking for mentorship on how to execute all this in 2026, hit the link in the description to learn about my program, Meta Ads at Scale, where I help e-com brands hit their first 6, 7, and 8 figures in revenue. Now let's go crush 2026. I'll see you in the next video.